Hey y'all, it's Bridget Cutshaw with Real Things Living. Today, my guest is Jacob Roig. He is a business and mindset coach based in San Francisco area, California. Can you say hi to everybody, Jacob?
Hello, hey, I'm glad to be here, and thanks for looking.
Yeah, I think your backstory, we talked briefly before, it was very interesting and very helpful for everybody, especially in this what we're dealing with unexpected leave. There's always changes in our life, but what's going on now is probably affecting people more. And I was just curious what got you uh, your path to be a mindset coach. I'm sure it has a lot to do with your some history of your own personal doing.
Yes, yes, it has. I started in corporate life, and I was good at it, and that's the only reason they kept me because I wasn't the corporate poster kid. Um, and then in 1999, I launched my own entrepreneur spirit and first business, and had meteoric success in a lot of areas. Financially, we just expanded in my first 10 months in business, my first fiscal year. We did over 1.2 million in sales, and there were a lot of bumps and bruises along the way. Um, and I realized that I was in my way more than being a benefit at times. And I had been studying mindset and how to be a better person and how to show up mentally and more and respond and react more consciously, than just being a reactionary person, which is what I did most of my life. And that's kind of was the beginning basis of what I was doing, was my own learning and evolving of my own self, but then realizing how much I was getting in my way as an entrepreneur. Um, and that was really the launch pad, that got me onto more of the mindset piece than just the business piece, because we can learn a lot about systems and processes and we understand them, but for whatever reason some people do them easily and some people have obstacles every single turn that they take.
Right.
And
And
so
that has to do with your mindset, right? It really,
yeah, most
in
definitely.
how you're reacting or not reacting. And I think that is really critical, just in general, not just in business, but your personal life as well.
Yeah, well, I forget who said it, but how we do anything is how we do everything. And so
Yeah.
whether it's personal or business, it's the same person that's responding and reacting to what shows up. And we all have things that show up. And when one problem gets solved, another new little block, obstacle, or whatever we want to call it, problem will show up. And this time right now is just, change happens always, as we all know. And whether we
Right.
like it or not, it's going to change. Just look at our own pictures 5 years apart and we go, whoa, big change.
Right. Right.
But right now, it's just, part of it is so many changes all at once. Usually it's gradual change, and we hit the change wall, and
Yeah. I'll get
there's so
slammed.
many changes. Yeah. And so it's been really difficult for people to handle all of it. That if you're, younger, you had to figure out how to be a teacher, a homeschooler, balance working at home when you were used to not doing it,
Right.
doing all these things and trying to juggle it all and figure it all out. And that's just one aspect of society right now. Then there's the other ones that were either outplaced or displaced, or and had to figure out either how to find a new career or a new position, or they come to a wall where they say, man, there's nothing there and I have to do something. So entrepreneurship has grown. And I was on a show just recently, and 55 and over is the largest group of entrepreneurs, on the planet, the growth wise.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Yay.
That's amazing. Yeah, that I read a book title. I don't remember who's the author, but it's called Entrepreneurs Are Going to Save the World. I think it was Michael Hyatt. It's hasn't been released yet, but I think it's true. He's obviously he's in his 60s, but he used to be the publisher of Thomas Nelson. If you're familiar with him.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, entrepreneurs are going to save the world or something like that. I like that because we can't just always depend. I mean, even though we need each other to connect, we also don't expect everybody to do the work for you. So right, and is that
Yeah.
the right word?
Yeah, I think so. And I think we go into it with, an unconscious hope that well, that it'll just happen. And as you realize as an entrepreneur that there's, especially now, there's more technology and availability for things than there's ever been, which means we have to make more choices. And that's a block and an obstacle that we come across a lot. And I think that you and I were talking about it, but you can't do it on your own.
Right.
There are just so many pieces. I'm putting together recorded programs and doing my marketing and doing networking and getting on podcast
Right.
shows and doing my coaching and balancing life and doing all this. If I was attempting to do all of this on my own, that's why I think this number is still around 85% of entrepreneurs quit. They say fail, but failure is when you do everything and it just doesn't work and you put an end to something. Quitting is just you walk away because you just want to curl up in the ball and say,
Yeah,
Uncle.
they need some support and encouragement, and that's probably why they feel the need to quit.
Yeah.
You got to keep trying though, right? And you learn from it.
Well, we
And
always learn, hopefully, what age has done for me uh, is given me, obviously experiences and wisdom. But it allows you to have enough time and experience to start realizing what's really important in life. And, our success is a small part of it, but success in, one of the biggest lessons I got was when I lost everything. It was on my 50th birthday
oh wow,
and I was losing a couple million net worth. And everything I had ever worked for was gone at that point. And that same day, I realized how wealthy I was in friends, in family, in love, in health. The only thing that was gone was material things. And I'm not saying that was okay because it wasn't. It was tragic. It was traumatic.
yes,
But I realized that same day how wealthy I was. And it's not just about work, work, work. We have to figure things out along the way. And, right now, there's all this pressure that is put on, but where's the pressure come from? Right? It's us. We put it
by
on ourselves.
yourself, right?
You said earlier in the beginning about being reactionary and responding. We get to choose everything, and we are. Whether it's conscious or unconscious, we choose to either be unconscious and just be reactionary or choose to learn how to become more aware of what we're doing and slow down just a little bit and make better choices. And that's a great space to live in.
It is. I just when you were saying that, I thought of the word apathetic. Does that fit in with being unconscious? Maybe you're just you're like, "Oh, whatever." That to me is apathy isn't helpful. Being apathetic isn't helpful.
I think it leads to that. It also leads to the following or the herd mentality, and we
Hmm.
see a lot of that right now
Right.
in politics and in religions and in social media, which is more opinion media, depending on which one it is, than
I don't
social. Right? It's not that social sometimes, and so
know. I've certainly I don't really get involved with it much anymore, other than LinkedIn, which is kind of
yeah.
where we connect. I find LinkedIn to be more positive, I guess, because we're just trying to help each other more.
Yeah, and
And
I think it is definitely 100% where you're at. It's more of a social atmosphere where people are more willing to help. You and I connected through this, and through one connection, we have not only um, a work relationship, we understand each other's work, but we also created a friendship through it, and we're willing to help share and everything. So that's what I like about it as well.
right. It's that to me is real important to look at. Like even though I like to look in the future a little bit, you still got a planning ahead, right? Which is important. And I think you talked about balancing. So I think you mentioned that
Yeah.
earlier. It's real important, but at the same time, we want to make sure our lifestyle that we have built, my husband and I, we live in a certain area on purpose because I like to go, walking in the woods or be by the lake. and I don't have to drive anywhere. I just go out my backyard and have
Yeah.
access to it. But that took a while. It took a lot of work though, right? To get there, we had to do the work to make it happen. And I think that's what some people I give up too soon. And I think being resilient is really helpful. And maybe a little, I joke that I'm a little stubborn.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, a little stubborn and maybe not knowing enough, like if I would have like known every pitfall that an entrepreneur has to go through, I may not have done it. I don't
right.
know. But, resiliency, I think it grows and expands the more you do plan.
Love it.
So having clarity is the gift, and that keeps you in it. Having a mindset that you become aware of what it is that you're thinking and how you're responding, or yeah, how you're responding more than reacting to things. Because reaction is instant, response is thought out usually.
Yes.
Um, and you can become more resilient the more clear you are, the clearer that you are in what it is that you're doing and what's the goal beyond just what you're doing. Like with a business, what are you starting the business for? Is it to replace your income, to do this? Usually that's what we're doing, or to increase our income or to take control of our own destiny. But it's the clarity. What is your destiny?
Right.
Having that clarity and knowing it is what keeps us resilient, because I know for me, um, I'm on a mission to impact 1 million people to grasp mindset so that they can be more in control of their life, because I know the gift that it's given me and the transformation that I put myself through, in the best way possible through mindset and through
Right.
implementing it.
Right.
And I also know that I'm doing this to leave a legacy for my grandkids now, because I'm a grandpa and I'm like, it's the best title I've ever had in my life.
Right.
I'm also doing it to create the lifestyle that I choose that's comfortable to my wife and myself. And so I have these reasons why I'm doing it, and I'm really clear in them. The clearer that we are, the more resilient we stay, because then these little things, they I might fall down, something happens, I might fall down, but then I remember, why am I doing this? What's it for? What
The
are these
purpose.
reasons and purpose? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I get back up and go, yep, I got to get back at it. Let's do it. Let's
That
figure it out.
that's a really good point. The purpose and uh, what do you think the best way to? I mean, are you like your coaching? I'm assuming is all online now, or do you used to do in person stuff? I'm just curious.
Yeah. It's always been 98% phone,
Oh, that's
or
good.
now it's Zoom, Zoom and phone
Right.
calls.
Zoom is good.
Yeah. Zoom has been good.
Well, that's
But
good.
it's been 98%. And I found I do in person, but in person, just my style is a little bit more distracting, because we have this and we're more focused when we have to just listen, use one sense.
Gotcha. Good
When we're
point.
doing looking and listening and everything else, it's easy to see my hands doing this and not really focusing on my words instead.
Gotcha. Well,
So I found that it's more impacting.
I saw that you used to do speaking too, right? Or you do speaking?
Yeah, I do some live events, and I became a certified firewalk instructor. I teach people how to walk on hot coals and break bricks and boards and flaming bricks and boards and break arrows with your throat, walk on
Oh
glass,
my gosh.
all kinds of things that you would go, why? But what they are is they're metaphoric lessons, the way that I teach it. And so when you walk hot coals, that's a major problem.
Right.
And when you can realize that you have the ability to focus, it's not mind over matter. When you can focus enough on something and you have the tools in place to raise your energy level up to the problem and beyond, that's what firewalking is. It's having somebody be able to raise that energy level up beyond the problem. And then you're easily able to walk and not get hurt. That's why I think in firewalking, it's about every 50,000 people that walk, or it's some crazy, 15,000 or 50,000 people that walk get a little burn. And it's probably 1,000 burns about the size of your tip of your pinky
Right.
to every person that gets a bad burn. And so how does that happen when it's not mind over matter? It's about raising our energy level up to a problem. But when what I teach it is when you go home, you're going to experience what's perceived as problems. And first, how do you respond to that problem? Whether it's negative or positive, you get to choose it. And then having this in your RAS, your reticular activation system, your brain memory bank, you get to use this experience. Excuse me, one second.
It's okay.
You get to use the experience over and over and over again. So I have a rug in my floor in my home where when I have a major problem, to me, it's my firewalk. And so I get ready, I address it, I get my mind ready, I raise my energy level up, and then I take that walk. And then I go solve the problem really quickly and easily. Excuse me one second. Sorry about that. But so same thing with board breaks and other things. They're metaphoric lessons if you use them the right way to allow yourself to address problems and look at them from a different perspective. I have friends that know me and some of my clients, and they think I'm a little bit off mentally because
Really?
the way I look at problems, I get excited. It's like if I wasn't moving myself forward, if I wasn't active doing something, I wouldn't experience problems or I would shut down and not address problems. So I get excited. I don't like them, but I get excited about them because I know I'm going to learn something. I might get to teach something and I'm
Right.
moving myself forward. I'm growing through it.
I think that's good. It's good for your brain. It really, not just like you talk the mind and body, but I think it's really good for your brain to just think about the situation and look at how to solve it. And I think that's good that you're sharing this information. When you're talking about the hot coals, I'm just thinking my feet are burning. I'm assuming you go pretty fast on them, right? Or you place your feet.
You just walk, you walk with determination. You don't run, you just walk
Okay. I'm just
determined.
thinking
You don't
running.
stop and go, oh, let me take a selfie.
No, you
You don't
don't do
do
that. Don't pause. That's
that. So
definitely
yeah.
not a moment to be pausing. Right.
Nope, it's determined, it's guided. I look at everybody before they walk to make sure that
Girl,
I
girl.
know that they're ready. And
Yeah.
if they're not, the hardest thing to do is not walking the coals. The
Huh?
hardest thing to do is going up to them and walking away from it when you're not really ready.
Gotcha.
Because your ego sees everyone else doing it and says, if I don't do it, it's wrong or I'm less than. It's
Right.
actually one of the strongest things I've ever done is walk away from walking a fire because I just knew I wasn't ready.
Right. Yeah, that's how
The
you
only
could.
time I've ever been burned, it was one time, and I've walked 150 times
That's
probably.
amazing.
The only time I've ever been burned was when my mind knew, I knew, my mind didn't know, but my heart knew I was done. When we do trainings, we might do 10, 20, 50 walks in a day. Um, and my mind knew I was done. But my ego saw all my other peers continuing to walk.
You didn't do it, right?
And I kept saying, no, I'm good, I'm good. And then my ego won. My mind said, nah, just one more time. And that's the only time I've ever been burned. So,
What you're describing this, it makes me think I would think people would do like some deep breathing, you know what I'm saying, to calm themselves down before it actually happens. I think that would be helpful.
yep, it's all about how we're approaching it. And
Hmm.
that's our energy level. If I'm negative, my energy's low. It's
Mm,
low vibrational energy. When I'm upbeat and I have, faith, courage, enthusiasm, and even not a belief. Because when I first walked the fire, I envisioned myself being burned to the knees, falling into it, being blistered, like all these crazy thoughts.
right.
But I stayed in line because of the training, the experience, the trainer, and I kept seeing other people do it. And then when I got up to walk it, I was still like a little bit scared, but you get set, you get yourself centered, and you focus on the end of the problem, the end. And when you're ready, you just start going. It's not like, oh, let me stick my toe on and see if it's hot. You just start walking, and all of a sudden you
Right.
realize,
You don't want to test
oh,
that.
I'm doing it. And then
Yeah.
by the time you say that, you're usually pretty close to done. Then it's like, it's elation because it's not supposed to happen. We're not supposed to be able to walk on
Like, it
1100-degree coals or
right, it sounds like
400.
it gives you a lot of confidence too once you complete it, right? It'll help you, that's my thought.
Yeah, all of these are meant to have you understand change doesn't take long to happen. We have much more to offer than we believe. We can break through thresholds of fear very quickly when it's done the right way. And then you can use these experiences for the rest of your life. So it's massively empowering. It changed my life. It's why I became a firewalk instructor.
That's so
Was
cool.
because I walked on hot coals, and it was so transforming for me in the way I showed up. It was that I had to do it.
That's really cool. You had one of the things we touched on previously on a conversation, some of the weird things or bad things that happened to you as a child. Do you think all those scars, that I should say scars, that you overcame them, kind of help you want to help other people? I mean, I just think a deep rooted
Yeah.
reason to help others.
Yeah, we all of us have trauma in our life
Uh
at
huh.
some points in times, and some's more severe than others in different ways. For me, it taught me to be fiercely independent because I had to rely just on myself.
Right.
It taught me how to go deep inside. I had to learn how to come back out because I went so deep inside that
So
there
where
were
you kind of
times.
protect yourself, right?
Yeah, totally. But you know what happens sometimes when you learn how to protect yourself just to survive, you forget how to come back out when you don't have to do it anymore. And that was my lesson for sure, was to I had to learn how to open back up because I had to close in to live, to survive, and but it taught me fierce independence. It taught me how to rely on myself. It also taught me, because I experienced these feelings and emotions, how to sense them in other people. And I think that's part of the service
Oh,
to
yeah, that's a
others.
good point.
So I can pick out people in a conversation, or I can walk in a room and feel them, that they could use some help. And that's usually who I go to. Um, and I, I used to just impose my help on people because I got this great thing and I want you to have it too.
They
But
want to have to accept it too, right? They want that, they need it or be open
you
to it.
learn to ask for permission.
Yes,
And so
that is so important.
same thing with coaching, and coaching isn't, the coach isn't doing the work. The coach is pulling all the information and the ability out of you that's already there.
Right.
And it's just getting you really clear. It's helping hold you accountable. It's getting you set. It's helping you create a plan to achieve what you desire to do. And the coach helps hold that all together while you're doing it. A lot of my clients have success. And I have some that just say, it's just great to have you there. I can run anything by you. We can brainstorm on something. I know I'm supported, and I know I can share anything with you, and I'm not going to have to feel like I have to hold back. And sometimes that's enough. I have others that show up and have no clue, and we get really clear really fast, and then set steps in place to achieve benchmarks so that you can gradually grow, because it success takes time, and it doesn't have to be created by the wheel. We find models and then we follow the model that's already been proven.
Right. You get to help you help them know themselves better, really is what it is. And that's kind of why they get stuck.
Yeah, as an entrepreneur, it's the most introspective journey I've ever been on, because you're forced to make decisions. You have to choose. You have to believe. You have to trust yourself on a really deep level, because there's so many things that can show up to take us out. There really are, especially ourselves.
Yeah, that's a good point because that's we're our worst enemy sometimes. Is that the right? Sorry, I don't know if I said that correctly, but yeah, we just still like need help though, and I think what you're doing is really good. Is there any advice you would give to someone who like lost their job and wanted to become an entrepreneur? Is there a certain recommendation you have for them, just off the cuff?
Yeah, well, a few things probably. One is, know that you have experience that can be used as a business. It doesn't matter what you've done. If you were an accountant and in a corner office for 20 years, you have great organizational skills. There are tons of creative entrepreneurs that have no clue or desire to keep their own books. They have no idea about tax laws, checks and balances. They don't. So there's all kinds of things that you could either help them with one-on-one or create training programs to help them. That's just one little indicator. But realize as somebody that's coming from a job and now you feel left out or you can't find one, that there is a business that you can do, even if you don't use your own experience.
Right.
There's things, businesses that you can start that within 2 weeks you can be making money. I've proven this over and over and over the years. You could start an eBay business right now, and you could go to garage sales and find things to sell. Everything is resellable. There is somebody to buy everything if you're patient enough. I heard this from an auctioneer once because I sell on eBay. I love to go to garage sales and estate sales, and that's
Right.
a side business I work on the weekends. My wife and I work it. But the auctioneer said, if you're patient enough, the buyer will show up. And so there are things that I've listed over and over and over again for a year, and then finally they sell. And so it's about having enough patience to do it. But everybody has the ability to start a business. It's really difficult to do it on your own these days because there's so many things out there to choose. Social media, got to be on it. Which one? All of them. How do I do it? Just put stuff out there. There's more strategy than that.
Correct.
Um, the the more prepared and planned that you are, and the more you can execute a plan, the more your confidence grows, the faster the results show up. And sometimes we have to learn how to get away from fear or scarcity limitations in our mind and realize that if I invest in, let's say, a coach, or if I like personally for me right now, I'm working with two coaches. And if I invest in this coach, when can I expect a return back on what they're coaching me on? And if you get a clear enough plan and you execute the plan, it usually will provide the result really close to that timeline. It's never guaranteed and everything else, but everybody has the ability to create a business no matter what experience you come from. If you've been a homemaker for 30 years and now all of a sudden, because of a tragedy, you don't have that support system and you have to create income. You have so many skills that you could offer. And it takes somebody that has experience like myself or somebody else that can pull that information out of you and help you see how this could help another group of people. Um, so in a long, long way to answer your question,
No, it's
everybody
good.
has the ability to start a business. Yeah.
It's really good information, and I like you're very calm and your demeanor. I think is really helpful. And that's probably why you've been successful is because of that. You
Thank
have
you.
a trust factor that emerges here, which is really good.
Well, here's a
So
tough question. Sorry to interrupt you, but
that's
I
okay.
did a video 2 days ago. It took me about 8 takes. And I pride myself ego wise. My ego loves this, which is one take Jake, right? On videos. It's not always true, but that my ego would like to express it because obviously I'm sharing it right now. Um, but it's really about, being just staying open to things right now and going for it. In the end, we're not going to regret what we did. We all make mistakes. We all screwed up things really big sometimes.
Right.
The regrets for me are things that I won't do. And so I hear this a lot and I embrace it, which is when I die, I want to die empty, nothing left.
Right. You put it all out there. Right. I agree with taking some risk. Is um, some people are risk averse too. I think that's part of it,
Mm,
maybe. And I think like you, we have something in common there. I was very independent as a child. I had to be growing up, and that's helped me. I think help build my resilience. And for some reason, I'm not risk averse. Some cases I am. I'm saying it depends. on what it is. But and I think that, what your conversation here with me has been really helpful. So, where can people learn more about you? Where can we send them to online?
Yeah. So, some of the stuff that I do one-on-one coaching. I do some group programs where I'll take a group of people and coach them on specific trainings and then coach them through that process as entrepreneurs. But they can find me at my website, which is jacobroig.com, just my name.com. Or I'm really active on LinkedIn. And again,
Okay.
it's just my name, Jacob Roig. And
Okay.
anybody on here, just mention that you heard me on the show, and I'd be more than happy to offer you a 45-minute free coaching strategy session on helping you figure out what your business is or what step you got to take to take it to that one next step up.
I think it's really helpful. And for the listeners, I will summarize it and I'll have the links in there in the summary to his website and his LinkedIn profile. And I do appreciate your time, because it's we're all trying to deal with stuff, and I think you're very helpful for everybody. I really truly do.
Thank you, Brigitte. I'm grateful to be here as well. Thank you for having me, number one, and believing in me enough to have me on your program. I'm honored.
I think it's great. And have a great day, everybody.